So the game's just finished. Southampton won, Tottenham won. One word at the end of all of that, for me, robbed. Absolutely robbed. The reason why I say that is because Harry Kane was never offside. So his goal absolutely should have stood. Great pass through from Winks. And you can see clearly on the replays, on the VAR picture that they put up and everything else, you can see that the defender's foot is playing Kane onside. He's well behind the play. I say well, but you know what I mean. In the overall scheme of things, he's well behind things. He may be slightly leaning, but even with his leaning, he was onside. Took the finish really, really well. Absolutely should have stood. And I think VAR has absolutely done us up like a kipper there. And listen, I know it happens. Yeah, it happens all the time, right? Some you win, some you lose. And, you know, you have to dust yourself off and accept it. And, you know, I will. But that's a poor VAR decision for me. And that puts us 2-1. And then moving on to the Doherty debacle. I literally cannot understand that decision at all. Essentially what they're saying is you cannot be anywhere near a goalkeeper when they jump to collect the ball. He's got to have, you know, an exclusion zone around him, essentially, so that he can jump and take the ball and not have a problem. Although he dropped the ball and then kicked it in with his foot himself. So again, another goal should have stood. So for me, 3-1. 3-1, you know, it should have been. So you take the rough with the smooth in maybe the VAR decision, but to not get the next decision, to me, is comical. And I honestly cannot understand why, in this day and age, we cannot get a referee out after the game to explain their decisions and why they make the decisions they make. Because as a fan, you're sitting there going, I don't understand it. You've got VAR telling you that's offside. Okay, fine, that's offside. VAR, I've looked at it, VAR is there for clear and obvious mistakes, errors, whatever you want to call it. The referee has made a mistake. Doherty's jumped in front of the goalkeeper. He didn't challenge him. He jumped in front of him. The goalkeeper dropped the ball, backheeled it into his net. Referee makes a mistake and says no goal. Surely VAR looks at that and says, not sure he did anything wrong there. You know, in the laws of the game, there is nothing to say that you cannot be in and around the goalkeeper. We see it week in, week out, game after game, where, you know, defenders are pushing other attackers away from the goalkeeper and all the rest of it with the juggling. Now, listen, if the keeper's in the air and you know, and he gets underneath him and knocks him over and it's dangerous, I get all that, but there's no way that was that in that game. No way, not for me, not in a million years. And so for me, absolutely robbed. So do I think that we should have won the game out and out? Did we deserve to win? Probably not. I think Southampton played really well in the first half and they probably deserved to get something out of the game, considering the effort that they put in, the defending they put in. I think I see somewhere we had something like 21 shots or something. But at the same time, you know, if you put the ball in the net 3 times, then you deserve something out of the game. So, you know, disappointed from that point of view. I've got to give Southampton some credit. To be fair, they've lost one game at home all season. I think they said on the build up to Wolves. They haven't lost any other games, so that says something about Southampton and about how they play over there. We do tend to have a mixed bag with them from time to time. Sometimes we win them, sometimes we lose them. You know, we've had a better record for a while. But at the same time, you know, it's not always been a one-way street. So, you know, I didn't expect it to be an easy game today. Obviously, we've had a really good run, and so your expectations go higher. But as I say, Southampton have got a good home record and probably deserve to get something out of the game based on their on their defending and so on, and they rode their luck, and sometimes it goes for you. You have to consider as well, this is the third match in a row where we've had one of the opposition players sent off. And as I said on the podcast the other day, it's not easy playing against 10 men because they are trying their hardest to stop it being an absolute mullering, and they want to hold a level of self-respect over it. So it becomes, a 10-man defence. They're absolutely holding the line as best they can, and that makes it really, really difficult to break them down. Really difficult to break them down, and that's why it's even more infuriating when you see your great ball played through by Winks for Kane's finish. That was probably the only time we really unlocked them. To get that goal, and then to give an offside when it's clearly not offside is really, 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 really disappointing. I was really surprised no Ndombele got onto the pitch. I say surprised, not surprised. I personally think, and I've called it out a few times, I think Ndombele's done. I think he's gone. I don't think he figures in the plans for Conte in the longer term. When you can get Brian Hill and Matt Doherty on ahead of you, it kind of says speaks volumes for me. But I do feel that given an opportunity, if he was up for it enough today, he might have had that little bit of magic to unlock something, because you needed something really, really to unlock it. That cheeky little pass, or that little bit of flair, a drop of the shoulder, whatever it might be, that's going to, unlock it and buy that little bit of space that's going to set something off. So really surprised, but not surprised for obvious reasons, but disappointed to a certain extent, because for me, Dele didn't have a particularly good game. I felt he worked hard and so on, but he never had anything special in his locker. Maybe Lucas should have come on earlier, because when he come on, his directness really started to have an impact. And as they fell deeper and deeper, we were literally just going at them the whole time. Brian Hill coming on, I like that kid. I do like him. He looks this real skinny little thing, and he looks about 15. But when you look back and you look at Eriksen, not a particularly big, strong-looking player. You look at Modric, not a particularly big, strong-looking player. And yet they were probably, two of our most creative and successful midfield players. And when he came on, he was cross after cross, right foot, left foot, cutting inside, going outside. He was trying things. And so and a lot of people would disagree with me, but I think the kid needs a chance. I think he needs to get minutes and get play so that he can build his confidence and work out that link up with the attacking players. Final thing, I guess, to touch on, which really needs to be spoken about, is the sending off. As I've just said, it's the third one in 3 games against us that's been sent off. The first booking, I think, was for not specifically for the Emerson one, but I think for persistent fouling, which absolutely makes sense, and I think clearly deserved it. And the second one was a bang on, absolute stopping a goal scoring opportunity, takes the player out, deserves to go, and he walked straight away. He didn't argue. He didn't do a Zaha and start standing there and trying to protest his innocence. He knew what he'd done, and he walked straight off. So that kind of says it all for me. If he's not protesting, he knows what he's done, right? So maybe unlucky getting, building up a few fouls beforehand to get the first yellow. But I think, you can only foul so many times before the referee's going to pull you up. Overall, I think the referee had a bit of a poor game. A lot of decisions in that game I thought were wrong. Lots of niggly little fouls and stuff like that. Players going over and that. And I still feel that our players go over far too easy. I'd like them to be stronger, to be honest with you, because we don't necessarily gain anything by these little niggles. We don't tend to push the ball forward or anything. What tends to happen is we go backwards more, we go forwards, which is really, really frustrating. Ward-Prowse, great goal from Ward-Prowse, and he shows his quality again. So overall, really, really disappointed not to get the 3 points. Happy that we didn't lose. Still keeps our momentum going. 7 games unbeaten for Conte, in the league. He had to try something, I guess, with all the games coming up. I mean, it's coming up on the telly now. Watford on the 1st, Chelsea on the 5th, Morecambe on the 9th, Chelsea on the 12th, Arsenal on the 16th, Chelsea again on the 23rd. I mean, that's a lot of fixtures in a short space of time. And you've got to use all of the players that you've got available, and you've got to get them playing the way you want them to. So it is what it is. I don't think Conte made all the right decisions today, certainly in his substitutions and his starting a line-up, but I understand the reasons why. So, it is what it is. At least we didn't lose. We keep our points tally going up, and that's all you can do. So I'll take it. Although, as I said at the beginning, I think we were robbed. But we move on. We move on to Watford, and we see what comes of that. Listen, just whilst I've got everybody on there, did a podcast with Chris Callan the other day. A couple of points was made. One was about my glasses being on the wonk. Can I just say, it's not my glasses, it's not my ears, it is my eyes. I've got one eye higher than the other. Way back in the 80s, I had a bit of a discussion with some racist skinheads who were trying to have a go at a mate of mine, and they decided that the best way to settle the argument was to stamp on my face. So that's how that came about. And the second thing I want to put to bed is, no, I am not Phil Jupitus, and no, I am also not Colonel Sanders. So please, be nice, be kind. Words hurt, Up the Spurs.